Hello, Valiant community. Today's Friday, November the 9th, and I'm coming to you with a little update regarding our possible return to school date on November the 1st. So I'm going to get right to it. We are not coming back to school on Friday, November the 1st. That's the first thing. The second point that I would like to really emphasize to everyone, because I have heard from a few of you asking for, when are we coming back? When are we coming back? If you're watching the same news that I am, you ought to know the answer to that question. We're not, right now, St. Genevieve is not at liberty to make the decision as to whether or not we come back. Our preschool's in operation, and it is legal in the county for preschools to be operating. However, for other grades, schools are not permitted in LA County to open. So I just want everybody to know that it's not possible right now. The county is not permitting it. And now you're hearing about other schools in the state, even schools in Orange County that opened recently. But LA County is different, and we have more cases of COVID than other places in the state. And so for right now, we have to stay closed until we are permitted to open. So the November 1st date that we set back in September is not going to happen, okay? And so we've got to set a new date for a possible return to school. And so when we're talking about a possible return date, I want to let you know that we will be sending out a survey next week to get your opinion on. So as we are contemplating when another possible return to school date would be, a couple of things that I think that we have to take into consideration. Number one, the county yesterday experienced a 6-week high in reported cases. And so that's not good. Now, they don't know if this is another surge happening or not, but the numbers went up significantly yesterday. And in fact, in the country, 39 states, 39 are reporting increased cases. And of course, we're going into the fall season, the winter season, and so if there's going to be a wave 2 of this pandemic, it's likely to be coming during the coldest months of the year, which are coming up. There are only 2 states in the entire country that have reported that their cases are going down. And so I am going to make a proposal. And as I mentioned, next week we will have a survey that will go out to you to get your opinion on this. But my suggestion is that the next return date that we set will be January the 19th. Now, why January the 19th? Well, first of all, the holiday season's fast approaching, folks, as I'm sure you're aware. And many of you are going to be making your plans and trying to complete shopping. And so my suggestion is, rather than setting a date in December or even early January, let's just take that stress of wondering, will we be able to start on that particular date? Let's just put that off until mid-January. If we were to set a date in early January, not knowing what may happen regarding the pandemic during the Christmas break, it makes sense to push the date back so none of our families, none of you, and none of our teachers have to be stressed out during the Christmas holiday. Because we'll all be watching news, we'll be seeing whether cases are going up, going down, we'll be wondering, okay, what's the school going to do? So by pushing the date back until January the 19th, I believe that it's going to allow all of us to have maybe not a stress-free Christmas vacation, but we will not have to be stressed about the idea as to whether or not we're actually going to be able to return in early January. And this is going to be a much-needed break for all of us, right? And my final reason is certainty. There's something positive about having certainty in times where there's so much uncertainty about other things. Now, we may not like distance learning much, but I do think that we can find comfort in having some certainty in knowing that We know how to distance learn. We're good at distance learning, and we're going to be continuing it until January the 19th. Now, I want to remind you about two goals that we set, or I set, at the beginning of this pandemic for our community. The first goal was that we would do our best to provide realistic quality of teaching. I know we're doing that. And I know we're doing that because I have conversations with some of our student athletes who are on campus for workouts. I hear from many of you, and I also hear from our academic team of leaders who regularly are observing the Zoom classes. And so every teacher's getting observed by a member of our leadership team every now and then. And so we're dropping in on those classes, and we know that our teachers, some of the most conscientious in the country, and I hope you'll agree with me on that. We have some of the most conscientious teachers in the country, and they're working hard to provide quality. And so I think it's going to be good for all of us, quite honestly, if we set our next possible return to campus date for January the 19th to just allow us all to plan and to breathe and to not have, to be wondering, are we going to be able to, are we not going to be able to? We just know that this distance learning right now, we're making the most of it. Our teachers are working hard. I hear our students, for the most part, are working hard. And so I'm going to propose to you that we continue to do that until January the 19th. Now, before I conclude, I have a little bit of homework for everybody. In the last week, our leadership team, we've been in contact with 3 different schools that are open. There's one up in Northern California, there's one in Texas, and we've been in touch with one in New Jersey. And those are schools that are open to their students. And although they're all having different experiences, the one common message that all 3 schools have expressed to us is this: a hybrid model, which is what we will come back with when it happens, meaning that all the students can't be on campus at the same time. So we will have some students at home while some students are here on campus. And all 3 schools have reported to us that hybrid is hard. They've all said, if you think that the distance learning is difficult and challenging, hybrid is more so. And so I mention that to you because I know that some of you are chomping at the bit to come back to campus. But we need to be realistic about what it's going to be like when we do come back. And not all the students in your child's class are going to be able to be permitted on the campus at the same time. The city's probably only going to allow us to have 12 to 14 students at a time in a classroom. And so a teacher is going to have to be concentrating on the students who are in front of them and making sure they're observing the physical distancing protocols and be worried about those students who are online at the same time. And so it's naturally going to, I believe, add to the workload and the stress load for all of us. So your homework is to begin preparing yourselves and your children for what it may be like when we come back. Because I think a lot of us have a romanticized idea that we're going to go back to business as usual. And we're going to have a new normal until there is a vaccine for this COVID. So I invite you, in preparation for this survey question that will go out next week, to have a conversation as a family and to talk about how the school's going to look during our new normal during this pandemic. Please make time, sit down as a family and talk about what it's going to be like wearing a mask at school, having to physically distance, taking breaks, having snack time, lunch time, and having to physically distance. It's going to provide challenges for all of us, and I want us to begin now to mentally start getting ready. All right? That's all I have for you today. I hope you're all staying safe, I hope you're certainly abiding by all of the directives, and looking forward to the day when we can all be back here together as a community. I miss you all.